I want to welcome you to the broadcast of Solidarity Sunday. Today has been such a special day as hundreds and hundreds of churches around the world have united together to take a principled stance in the midst of such vitriol, such hatred, such an increase of polarization and demonization, one side against the other in our world. We have united together against hate, against bigotry, against violence, against extremism in any form, and especially against racism and the oldest form of racism, which is anti-Semitism. It's been a powerful time to see pastors coming together literally around the world to take a stand at this moment. Can I ask you, what would have happened in the 1930s if churches in Germany and throughout Europe had gathered together as one, recognizing their theological differences, recognizing their theological differences with the Jewish community, recognizing political differences, but said, you know what? We can unite together on this. Hatred should not be taught. Extremism should not be taught. Violence should not be taught. The house of God should be a house of love for all people. This is the message of Solidarity Sunday, to embrace the love of God, to preach the love of God, and to reject hatred, and to stand in unity, shoulder to shoulder, with the community that has suffered more racism than any other people in human history, the Jewish people. We had an incredible day here in Buffalo, despite the fact that most of America was undergoing an incredible snow threat. You know, in Buffalo, we call that a Tuesday. We had an amazing day here in Buffalo. We're going to take you into that service in a moment. And throughout this broadcast, we're going to take you to different times in the service, different places from other churches around the world. And more, this global network of love is being built. And I am so glad that you're a part of it today.
Love endures through generations. I know that you will keep your covenant. I'm calling on the God of Moses, the one who opened up the oceans. I need you now to do the same thing for me. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, your faithfulness. Declare again, I'm calling on the God of Jacob. I'm calling on the God of Jacob, whose love endures through generations. I know that you will keep your covenant. I'm calling on the God of Moses, the one who opened up the ocean. I need you now to do the same thing.
Hi, this is Bishop Robert Stearns, the founder of Eagle's Wings here in Jerusalem. Throughout history, the poison of racism has caused deep pain, division, and destruction within the human family. This poison has haunted the human story since the very beginning of time. Racism has torn nations apart. It's divided friends and families. It's left wounds that only the power of love can restore. In America, we've seen the cruelty of racism, from the horrors of slavery and segregation to the prejudice and discrimination against immigrants and people of color today. Across the globe, this hatred has targeted people simply for who they are, leaving scars that last throughout generations. But as followers of Jesus, we are called to walk a different path. We're called to walk a path of courage, compassion, and justice, to rise above the noise and division and hatred, and to stand united and speak out against every form of hate, bigotry, injustice, and racism. And today we must stand against and confront one of the oldest hatreds of all, anti-Semitism. For centuries, anti-Semitism has sought to destroy the Jewish people. It is the same dark spirit that fuels every kind of racism and division, but anti-Semitism is rising once again. Jewish students are told to hide their faith and identity on college campuses. Jewish families are removing their mezuzahs from their doorposts. Synagogues are being threatened and attacked. Across every color, culture, denomination, background, we must stand shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart against this hate and say, this ends with us. We remember the suffering of the Jewish people, and we must remember that hatred thrives when the church is silent. The church right now must be the loudest voice for love. Isaiah 1:17 says this, learn to do right, seek justice, and defend those who are oppressed. Proverbs 31 declares, speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. This is our calling. This is our moment, and this is what Solidarity Sunday is all about. One family united, standing as one against anti-Semitism and every form of hate and racism. We will respond with faith, with courage, and with love for the Jewish people, for all the human family, for the peace of Jerusalem, and for the healing of our world. Because together, we are not only remembering history, we are redeeming it. You know, it's so incredibly encouraging to hear the personal stories of pastors, of Christians, of Jews, of rabbis, of those who are really coming alive to this message of cooperation and friendship and unity. In fact, this morning in Buffalo, one of our Jewish guests was being driven here by an Uber driver who was a Muslim. And he kept saying, but our guest was dressed in a very Jewish way. He said, well, aren't you Jewish? Why are you going to a church? And they started explaining Solidarity Sunday. And the Muslim taxi driver said, that sounds wonderful. We should have less hate in our world. We should have more love. He said, could I come to the service? And so I'm telling you, I don't know why it's so controversial that people should be kind to one another, that people should respect one another. That doesn't mean we have to agree completely, but my goodness, isn't it better when we enter into dialogue together? I want you to come and hear some of the testimonies from people who've attended, sponsored, folks just like you who are getting involved in this global movement with Eagle's Wings, and I'm so grateful. Those of you who are our partners, pastors who are partnering with us, we're so incredibly grateful. You strengthen our arms in this work every day. Come and hear some of the testimonies from people just like you.
Psalms 133 says, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together in unity. Because there's the commanded blessing of the Lord, life evermore. I think the reason why it's important for the church and our nation to stand against anti-Semitism is because the blessing flows when there's unity. When there's disunity and dysfunction and hatred that runs in the streets, between neighborhoods, between cities, and even states and nations, there's no blessing, there's no favor. And so I think it's important that we stand against hatred and violence, because we need God's blessing upon us between Jews and Gentiles, Christians. Doesn't matter what faith you come from, but we stand against hate because we need the favor of the Lord.
I feel like if I was in their shoes, it would make me feel somewhat good to know that I'm not alone, and it's not only me going to be necessarily like dealing with this, but you got other people there to help you with it.
The message today, it was so powerful because there is an understanding that God is bringing between the Jews and Christians, and uniting us and bonding us as one. There were so many words that I can't remember them all, but I'm hoping that would resonate in the hearts and the minds of those that haven't chosen sides yet, that they would understand that to be in the side of the Jewish people, to unite with Christians and Jews, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, to unite together is being on God's side.
Standing with the Jewish people is a biblical responsibility because, one, God calls us to be people that stand with everyone who bears His image. Number two, God has made promises to the Jewish people that we are seeing lived out and fulfilled today. It's an exciting time to be part of the big story that God is writing.
We're so blessed to be partnering with so many different groups, dozens and dozens of Christian groups around the world, denominations, networks, church fellowships, and a variety of Jewish groups who are coming alongside and helping us build this movement together. The very first Jewish group that came alongside and partnered with us was a wonderful group called Moral Hearts Alliance. Here's a video that tells a little bit about the story of Moral Hearts Alliance and what they have seen as they have partnered with you and I together in Eagles Wings.
On October 7th, the Jewish community's sense of security in the world was shattered. On October 8th, we began to see global anti-Semitism rising, and we realized at Moral Hearts Alliance that we needed to do something about that. We wondered who would stand with us in these difficult times. And it was Bishop Stearns and the team in Eagles Wings, and we're very grateful for that.
October 7th, I was here in my house. My son was visiting.
We were closed in our houses.
We only understand that this was a major event and that our brothers and sisters in the South really need us now.
We hear shooting outside. We hear Arabic outside.
And I saw from the back window 10 terrorists in our backyard.
We told each other that we loved each other and basically said goodbye.
And I went back to the shelter and I told Efrat and Doron, I'm going out. So maybe if they will deal with me, they will leave you.
שמי גדי מוזס, הגעתי להנה ב-7 לאוקטובר בנסיבות לא של בחירה אישית.
The opportunity to tell our stories and to be in your sacred spaces and to feel your support and your warmth has moved us. It's moved our speakers. In fact, it's changed their lives.
When I was asked to come by Eagles Wings to be brought to the States, I was so blown away. I started seeing the evangelical communities standing up and giving us this amazing hug.
We are never going to allow the Jewish people to stand alone again in history.
To come to do Solidarity Sunday, that gave me strength.
I remember being in the tabernacle with the amazing Bishop Robert Stearns standing next to me. I saw all of you guys and I saw your eyes. I felt like all of you are hugging me.
We stand firm, resolute, clear, 100% with our Jewish brothers and sisters wherever they are.
I can feel it in my heart. I can feel your support. Thank you.
I can tell you that I was completely astonished from that kind of support.
This video is for you. We have many people of our church community gathered here today. Welcome home, Uncle Gotti! Woo!
We needed to rebuild and replant and grow optimism here.
As Gadi says, what happened, happened. But what matters is what we're doing now.
I know that alone we will not do it.
The connection between the Christian world and the Jewish world is something that is so important for today, not just for Israel, but for the future of the Western world.
It was important before and now even more. We need our friends with us. We cannot be in this fight alone.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to stand with you guys, to be a part of this community that we built.
Community builds resilience, and that's the name of the game.
These people came to your churches fractured. You welcomed them. Your congregants stood in line to hug them, and it began their healing process. This event was so meaningful to all of us that it became the mission of Moral Hearts Alliance. What started as a small, local 7-church event has become a global event because you have stood with us. We're now reaching into communities beyond North America, and we hope and believe this will continue to grow with your support. Thank you.
Come with me now into our service this morning here at the Tabernacle as I'm introducing a wonderful friend of mine, Rabbi Brad Hirschfield, who has become such a partner in this work of bridging our communities together. I talk a little bit about him as I introduce him this morning in the service.
Several years ago, I met a man named Rabbi Brad Hirschfield, and his story is amazing, his life is amazing, his work is amazing. And then I had the privilege of bringing him, of him joining us in Israel, where he became our rabbi in residence for 2 now of our pastor's trips. And when I met him, I knew that I had found God's gift to me for this season in life, for this season of my journey, who had the words that I needed to hear. And he's become such a trusted friend, such a trusted brother. And I have spoken often to him about the tabernacle and about how special you all are, and that he needed to come to Buffalo and he needed to be with us. And so we arranged the weather for him to give him the real experience, the true experience. And there's no voice that we would rather have sharing today on this very special Solidarity Sunday than Rabbi Brad Hirschfield. Would you give him a warm Tabernacle welcome?
Thank you all so much. I actually grew up in Chicago, so this weather is not strange to me. It does prove out the old adage, which sounds better in Yiddish, but it works in English too, and it works in any faith. People plan and God laughs. But I say to you today, and I know as much as I know anything, as much as I know it's snowing outside, God is not laughing at us. God is laughing with us. God is laughing with us, whatever the weather outside is, and I mean that weather metaphorically too. It's okay. Well, it's not exactly okay, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I do want to also reassure you, Bishop Stearns, I am not here to convert anyone to anything, and we are not here to be converted. That said, you would be with the majority of Jews, for better or worse, if you became Jewish and still had bacon double cheeseburgers. Now, I wouldn't be eating with you, but that's a different matter altogether. I mention that because let us not fall in to the false dichotomies which would separate us as brothers and sisters. Let us remember that before there were Jews and before there were Christians, Genesis 1:27 tells us that we were all created in God's image. Now, I believe in the particularities that animate my life, and I believe, although as an outsider, in the particularities that animate Christian faith. In fact, you cannot be a person in general. It is only through our particular commitments to God and to each other that we realize the fullness of the promise that each of us represents. We are all created in the image of God. And it is in that image that, since so many people in that beautiful video said they felt hugged by Christian brothers and sisters, that I want you to hear this morning's words is being hugged back by one of your Jewish brothers. Ze hayom asa Adonai, nagila v'nismecha bo. Hear it in the original, in the language of King David, as he penned the words of Psalms 118, verse 24. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be happy in it. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us be happy and rejoice in it. Yes, I stand before you. I'm not kidding myself. I stand before you in a world of dangerously rising anti-Semitism. That is a fact, and we will get into those facts in a little bit. I stand before you in a world of baseless hatred of Israel, and that is a fact. I stand before you in a world of rising extremism of almost every sort, from the right, from the left, theological, political. Extremisms that pull people apart and distance them from God's love. That is the state of so much of the world. And yet, I also stand before you filled with genuine joy and deep gratitude. I stand before you with gratitude to God, with whom and through whom all things are possible. Do we really dare to believe that radical premise? So much of our lives conspire against us to tell us it isn't true. We know it's true. We're here. I'm not shying away from any of the negatives I mentioned, and I will share with you some very disturbing facts. Guess what? They didn't keep us from being here. They don't keep us from loving each other. They don't keep us from being a part of a global community that believes in these things. We believe that with God, all things are possible and that the best of them will come to be. I stand before you with gratitude to Eagle's Wings and the global movement which has created this Solidarity Sunday. I stand before you grateful to my friend, my teacher, my brother, Bishop Robert Stearns. That too is proof that God has more blessing in store for us than we can ever imagine. I didn't know you before God brought us together. I couldn't even know that I was missing a Robert Stearns because I didn't know he existed. And then, like any time you find a brother or a sister, or God sends you the life partner of your dreams or the child that you've prayed for, and you realize, how did I ever do this without him? So I am deeply grateful to you. I am grateful to the Tabernacle, this particular community, not only for hosting me physically. And when I talk about hosting me physically, I mean to walk into a hotel room at 11 o'clock at night, far from home, a storm is coming, and not only was everything set up perfectly, but there were snacks in the hotel room. Now, it's clear I don't need those snacks. It's also clear that Abraham and Sarah were known for the hospitality they extended to strangers, which means that every member of this tabernacle community, all of you who made that gifting possible, are walking with Abraham and Sarah. Not only for hosting me physically, though, but for the spiritual leadership of one of the nation's most enduring beacons of Christian faith anywhere. Almost 100 years of sharing light and life and hope and positivity and community and friendship and love, and especially when those things seem so far from so many, saying, no, from here they're close and present every single day. Amen. How could I not be grateful to the tabernacle? How could I not be grateful for the vision and the leadership of Pastor Tommy Reed? How many communities can say they have almost 100-year history and almost 100-year-old pastor? May God bless him. May God bless him with continued health and strength and life and vitality. I'm grateful to Pastor Doug and Pastor Amy and the entire staff of the Tabernacle, because we all know this doesn't happen without God, for sure. It also doesn't happen without them. It's okay to applaud the people we need. I'm deeply grateful for the blessing of each and every one of you, the members of this magnificent Tabernacle community. You have generously shared and continue to share your spirit, your faith, your values, and yes, the leadership of Bishop Stearns with the world. You epitomize what it means to be an unselfish, caring, giving community, and that is not always easy. For the local to go global is hard. And it doesn't happen without the faith and the commitment and the generosity of spirit and heart and mind that every member of this holy community evidences each and every day. So yes, I am deeply grateful to the Tabernacle. And I am so moved by each and every one of you who is not just joining us physically, but also digitally, for what is now a truly global event. In North America, in South America, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, Antarctica, we're coming. This is the Tabernacle. And in our gathering, we fulfill the first teaching regarding the original tabernacle in the desert. God commands Moses to tell the Jewish people, the ancient Israelites in the desert, to build a tabernacle. In Exodus 25, verse 8, let them make me a sanctuary, a tabernacle, and I will dwell in them. That doesn't work real well in Hebrew or in English. Let them make me a tabernacle, and the natural thing it should say is, and I will dwell in it, of course. That's not what God says. Go out and do something in this physical world, and I will spiritually dwell in you. We even bridge the divide. There isn't spirit there and physical there. Go out and build something physical, and don't you be surprised that I will dwell in you. Let them make me a tabernacle, and I will dwell in them. Or, if a rabbi is allowed to preach from 1 Corinthians 6:19, and to be fair, I wouldn't be the first rabbi to do so. In fact, on one of our trips, toward the end of that trip was the NHCLC, and they all got up and said, you know, Rabbi Brad, you are our favorite rabbi. And I said, I really hope not. They said, what do you mean? I said, look, at best, I want to be your second favorite rabbi. So I want to encourage you all to have in your lives, find a rabbi. This kind of rabbi. It can be like me, this rabbi. But don't lose track of your first rabbi. we become the temple of the Holy Spirit, says Corinthians. We become the place where God's holy presence dwells in this world. How could we not be grateful for the privilege and the opportunity and the blessing to become the personal beachheads of God's presence in the world? Yes. Each and every one of us is called to that very moment, a moment of both genuine challenge and miraculous possibility. Yes, the challenges that I began by mentioning, they are real when it comes to Israel and to the Jewish people. You don't need me to tell you that because the FBI can tell us that. 18% of all hate crimes in the United States of America are committed against Jews. 18% of all hate crimes in the United States of America are committed against Jews. 70% of all religion-based hate crime in the United States of America are committed against Jews. Let that sink in. 18% of all hate crimes across the board against Jews. 70% of all faith-derived hate crimes against Jews. We're only 2% of the population. That is beyond insane. What has happened to us? And it is to us. And by the way, negative views of Israel are also on the rise, moving from 35% to 55% in the last 24 months alone. These are real challenges, and we dare not be naive in the face of them. And I want to be even more clear, because statistics are easy to take in our head, but not feel in our heart. Every one of those statistics, every one of those crimes is against actual individual people. And they are statistics that are not only a problem for Jews and for Israel. They are a problem for all of us, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, atheist, it doesn't matter what. They are a problem, those statistics, 18% of all hate crimes, 70% of all faith-based hate crimes. They are a problem for America, and they are a problem for the entire world. The fact is, the hatred of Jews is a harbinger of hatred of humanity. It always has been. So my concern is not only with me and my faith community, that's real. My real concern is for the world all of our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will inhabit if we don't address this ancient hatred here and now. The things which you do to stand up against anti-Semitism and for the strength of Israel are not simply to help Jews in Israel. In the best sense of the word, they are the things you do to help yourself and your children and your grandchildren to live in a world that is more humane, more just, more compassionate, more loving for all people, regardless of who they are. And these are not only statistics, as I said, these are individual people, one of whom I want to mention today, whose face I hope, that's Yaron Lishinsky. That beautiful young man along with his girlfriend, Sarah Milgram, was murdered in Washington, D.C. this past May. And because the world is small, his father was also the Spanish-speaking guide who led us on that trip with the NHCLC. And after 2 years of being with friends as they buried their children, I can tell you it doesn't get any easier. Yaron was murdered at a young diplomats event in Washington by someone shouting the words "Free Palestine" before he started pulling the trigger. I'm pretty sure whatever politics you practice, securing the freedom you desire by executing beautiful young people, not the way to go. In fact, Yaron Lashinsky was murdered because he was Israeli. Yaron Lashinsky was murdered because he was a Jew. And we shouldn't flinch to say it. Yaron Lashinsky was murdered because he was a believing Christian. And today is not the time to figure out how all that can be true at once, but I promise you it can, at least for some people. Here's what we know. He was murdered for all three of those things. It's not just 18% and 70%. It's all the Yarons and Sarahs that fall to this ancient hate. And yet I began today with the words, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be happy in it." At which point you can say, wow, Bishop Stearns invited a crazy person to come to our church. No, I'm not crazy. Not at all. I, like all of us, am a person of faith. And that means having the capacity, in fact, more than the capacity, the mission and the mandate from God to both acknowledge the real challenges we face and to celebrate the miracles of each and every moment we are given. I am able to feel the wisdom taught in Philippians 4:12. And I invite you to do the same, and I know it's not easy, and believe me, I'm talking to myself and letting you listen. I know how to be abased and how to abound. I know to be full and to be hungry. We are set up to be able to inhabit both of those feelings at the same time. To know what is broken and damaged and hurts and needs to change, and at the exact same moment, to feel the abundance and the blessing that God gives us when and where God gives it. Don't let anyone tell you that to be happy means to harden your heart to those challenges, unless you want to be like Pharaoh. And don't let anyone tell you that to feel those pains and those challenges means to give up on God or ever think God is giving up on us. So yes, I'm hungry for a world in which there is no more anti-Semitism. I am hungry for a world that properly appreciates Israel. I am hungry for a world of greater human dignity for all people. A world in which, that verse I mentioned before, Genesis 1:27, is a reality that we only feel and experience each and every day. Right now, too often, the idea that all people are created in the image of God feels aspirational more than real. Not here this morning, not with us, but it can in the world, and I know that. That's the challenge. There would be no Yarons and Sarahs in a world where people understood that each and every human being was created in the image of God. But we can get there. We can get there. And we can celebrate the fact of the fullness of this moment even before we're fully there. That we are here together for Solidarity Sunday. I'm a rabbi speaking in the pulpit of a Christian church in an almost 100-year-old Christian community, united by our shared faith and biblical promises, and by the reality of those promises that have already been fulfilled. If that isn't a miracle, what is? I'm standing here today thinking of my great-grandparents, Sam and Sarah Plotkin, who ran away from Minsk at the turn of the last century to get away from anti-Semitism, because they believed in the dream of America, because they believed in the possibility of greater human dignity, because they believed that they would not be tortured and held back simply because they were Jews. And if I could stand before them today and say, do you want to know what your great-grandson did this morning? They would look at me and say, did you fall on your head? It's not possible. That's not the world we ever dreamed of. So I know miracles are possible. I get to stand here today with the realization of so many of my great-grandparents' dreams. But that's not the only miracle. What about the miracle of a reborn state of Israel 77 and a half years ago? And maybe this morning, my favorite miracle, though, while it is true, in some ways there is no place in the world that can break your heart like Israel, there is also no place in the world that can heal your heart like Israel. There is no place in the world that can give to humanity what Israel is actively giving to humanity. But my favorite miracle of the modern state today is that the Jewish state of Israel is the only place in the Middle East where the Christian population is growing. I want to say it again, but if you remember nothing else, remember this. The only place in the entire Middle East where the Christian population is growing, where churches are thriving and growing, where people are going to deepen their faith and connection to God as Christians, is the Jewish state of Israel. Another miracle. The miracle of this man who's going to come up here in a second. And I want to be clear, despite the very rabbinic beard, he was about as secular as you could be. That man is Theodor Herzl. He is the father of modern Zionism. And I want to tell you a story about Herzl and about that balcony. That balcony is at the Three Kings Hotel in Basel, Switzerland. Herzl had convened what was then the first, they didn't know there would be a second, the first global Zionist Congress. And he goes back to his room and he writes in his diary after standing on that balcony and looking out into the world. And he says to the diary, I cannot tell my friends and colleagues and peers what happened today. Because if I told them what happened today, they would say I was insane. But today I founded the Jewish state. He goes on to write, maybe in 5 years, but certainly in 50, the state of Israel will be born. He wrote those words in Basel in 1897, just shy of 50 years to the day that the United Nations would gather in Lake Placid, New York, and vote to partition the British Mandate of Palestine and begin the creation of the reborn state of Israel. Now, I don't know how far we would have gotten talking to Herzl about God. But about miracles, he understood miracles. And he accomplished that miracle because he dared to believe. He believed and lived fully what is perhaps his most famous teaching. If you will it, it is no dream. Yes, God makes miracles, and so can we. Herzl knew that. We know that. God makes miracles, and so can we. If we will it, it is no dream. So let me invite you into the next miracles we can make together. The next era of growing goodness in Israel. The next era of ever deeper, more respectful, more loving relationships between Christians and Jews here at home and in Israel and throughout the world. But remember, like it was with the tabernacle, if we build it, God will be in us. If we will it, it will not be a dream. So take a moment here and now to consider the next steps you could take in making the miracles happen. And even though I'm a speaker and speakers are never supposed to say this, close your eyes for a moment and really ask yourself, and you can be like Herzl, you can commit to something that you can't tell anyone yet, but go ahead and make the commitment, because if you don't make the commitment, it'll surely never happen. What is something, some next step, and it doesn't have to be big, that you're willing to start doing to make the next miracles happen for Jews and Christians together and for the state of Israel? Not just what you pray for. I know you pray and we need your prayers. Not what you hope for. I know you hope and we need your hope. What are you willing to do? What tabernacle in this relationship are you willing to help strengthen? And hold that. And if you really take it seriously, find a moment today and write it down. You don't have to share it with anybody, but look at what you wrote down once a week. I don't know what'll happen. Only one knows it'll happen. But I do know this. If you commit to whatever you write down today, to take that little concrete step on a regular basis, I promise you, you will be different and the world will be different in 6 months. So I want you to imagine what the next 50 years could be like if we lived as believingly, as boldly, and as bravely as Herzl. In fact, let us celebrate today as the beginning of that next 50 years. Let us celebrate this moment as the dawn of the next miraculous era in the history of the Jewish state, of the Jewish people, of the relationship between Christians all over the world and Jews all over the world. Let us celebrate the next 50 years united in solidarity. Solidarity with one another, solidarity with Israel, and solidarity with God and all of humanity. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be happy in it. Amen.
All of this work goes on because people just like you have made a decision to partner and become a part of this global Eagle's Wings movement, which now has, of course, the Israel Christian Nexus, which is our pastors' fellowship. And I want to invite you to sow a seed into this work that God is doing. We have 3 incredible outreaches that we do in Israel that serve all of Israel, not just the Jewish community, the Arab community, the Druze community, the Christian community, the Muslim community. Anyone who is in need, we reach out to. I want to invite you today to become a partner. If you're a pastor, would you consider becoming a monthly partner with Eagle's Wings, with the Israel Christian Nexus? All of us together must unite in this moment. What would have happened in Europe? What would have happened? How would history have been different if people had said, yes, I'm here, I'm paying attention, I'm a watchman on the wall, I'm involved. Eagle's Wings and the Israel Christian Nexus are your invitation to get involved, to make sure that evil does not propagate, that we draw a firm line in the sand and we say never again. Join us in a practical, financial way as you watch this next video. Today, you have heard incredible stories of pain, but of resilience, of faith. Stories of hope that in the midst of unimaginable evil, there is something within the heart of the Jewish people that responds to the call of God to live in hope and to live in faith. You know, I've been traveling to Israel and working in the midst of the Middle East for 32 years. And I want to invite you today, after you've heard these stories, I want to invite you to do something practical. Genesis 12:3 says this, I will bless those who bless you. As we come alongside the people of the book, our elder brother, the Jewish people, there is a covenantal alignment that comes into place in our lives. And so we want to love and express solidarity with the Jewish people, not only with our words and our prayers, though that is important, but also with our actions. Eagle's Wings has 3 strategic outreaches in the heart of Israel that every single day are making a difference. Number 1, our Abraham's Bread feeding centers. We have feeding centers throughout Israel that are feeding hundreds of Israelis on a daily basis. And can I tell you this? When people come to our feeding centers, they're not asked, hey, are you Jewish? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian? Are you Druze? They're asked, are you hungry? And if they're hungry, they are welcomed in, because God's love is for all. God loves all people equally. Our Abraham's Bread feeding centers are making an incredible difference in the lives of needy people every day. Secondarily, we have an amazing place called the Forest of Life. And the Forest of Life does 2 incredible things. It's helping fulfill the prophecy that the desert is blossoming as a rose. Trees are being planted, fruit trees, date trees, pomegranates, incredible farming. But amazingly, this work is being done by dozens and dozens of at-risk foster kids who are rescued out of situations with parents who are drug addicted or homeless or living on the edge. And these amazing young foster children, most of them teenagers, are able to reclaim and rebuild their lives. As you plant a tree in Israel, you're planting a tree of hope in the heart of those young people. And third is our partnership with United Hatzalah. And this is providing immediate medical emergency equipment to front lines responders, those who are on the very front lines, especially in the midst of the terror attacks and the war that is going on. We've been able to give hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to all of these projects in your name, in the name of Jesus, in the name of the Christian church. We come as Christians and we express our support, our love, our solidarity in these practical ways. You've heard these stories today. Can I invite you to join me in not only giving prayers, not only giving words, but living according to James, faith without works is dead. Would you join me today to make a difference in the heart of Israel? Well, that's a wrap for this year's Solidarity Sunday. I'm telling you, we had the snowpocalypse is what they're calling it. I mean, we just had so many churches and states, flights being canceled, all kinds of things going on. But I love the fact that you're tuning in and we can do that now digitally. And it's so important. Would you do me a favor? Would you hit the like button on this? Would you hit the share button on this? Would you forward this to friends? Would you forward this to your pastor? Say, Pastor, let's make sure we get involved next year. Every single year, the last Sunday in January. Why the last Sunday in January? Because that is the week of International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And so we're taking a stand in alignment with the spirit of Corrie ten Boom, of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. We're taking a stand and we're saying, in this generation, we're going to get it right. You have been a part of that miracle. You have been a part of raising your voice, not only on behalf of Jews and Christians, but on behalf of every member of the human family who believes that we should live in kindness, in respect, in tolerance, in understanding, in the kind of world that honors the image of God in every single human being. That's what you're involved in. That's what Solidarity Sunday is all about. The last Sunday of every January, in this week of Holocaust Remembrance Day, we're asking you to get aligned and make a difference in this generation. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part. Join in with us in a more strong and ongoing way, and we'll see you next year at Solidarity Sunday.